Yuki Tsunoda may have just accepted the biggest challenge of his career, or put his entire F1 future on the line. Amid controversial decisions, internal pressure, and an environment where no one is safe, Red Bull has thrown the Japanese driver right into the eye of the storm. And the timing? Perfect. The next race is in Japan, in front of his home crowd, with the weight of proving to the world that he's not just another name on the list. But what's really behind this decision? Why did Red Bull pull Liam Lawson out of the picture, even after strategic sacrifices on track? And what does it mean when Max Verstappen himself starts showing public signs of discomfort with the team's direction? In this video, you'll dive deep into the behind-the-scenes of this switch, the dangerous game being played in the paddock, and why Tsunoda is stepping into a minefield, where one mistake could cost him everything. If you think Formula One is decided only on the track, it's time to rethink that. The drama unfolding inside Red Bull is straight out of a Netflix series, and you're about to understand every detail. So strap yourself into the cockpit, because this race has just started, and cars are already spinning off track. It wasn't exactly a shock. Red Bull's confirmation that Yuki Tsunoda will replace Liam Lawson had been circulating around the paddock for weeks. But even with the "we saw it coming" atmosphere, the decision reignites an old question in the F1 world. Why make room for Lawson if, deep down, no one truly believed in his potential? This move shows that Red Bull remains as unpredictable as ever behind the scenes, often making decisions that feel more emotional than strategic. What's interesting is that Red Bull has a history of acting with cold precision. Just look at what happened with Gasly, Albon, and even Ricciardo. But by choosing Tsunoda, they've gone with a familiar piece, someone who's been part of the team's ecosystem for years and, in theory, presents less risk. The real question is this a sign of genuine confidence, or just another quick fix in a system that clearly isn't as stable as it seems? In practice, this switch casts a shadow of doubt over Red Bull's structure. The empire revolving around Verstappen seems increasingly centralized, while the other drivers feel like disposable pieces. And that raises the big question. Is Tsunoda truly the right choice, or are we witnessing yet another chapter in the impulsive game of musical chairs inside a team that, outside of Verstappen, still seems to be searching for direction? Lawson as the guinea pig. In the last Grand Prix, Lawson tested car updates, providing valuable data to the team. In the last Grand Prix, while all eyes were focused on the battles at the front of the grid, Liam Lawson played a role that went largely unnoticed, but says a lot about how Red Bull operates. He became a real guinea pig. He tested updates and risky setups during a weekend where the main focus was far more on data collection than personal performance. It's a clear sign that, sometimes, a team's priority isn't scoring points, but fully understanding the car, even if it comes at the cost of a driver's morale. This is a common practice among satellite teams, using one of the cars as a mobile lab. And Lawson took on that role with courage. Even knowing he had little to gain in terms of results, he pushed through with an unstable car, experimental setups, and still kept his composure. Red Bull, on the other hand, made it clear that long-term performance comes before any driver's reputation, a tough message for anyone dreaming of a spot within the team. Now think about this. If the team already knew Tsunoda would be the pick, why put Lawson in that position? Was it a final test? A trap? Or just another move in the technical chessboard of an organization obsessed with data? The truth is, in this game, numbers speak louder than any promise. And anyone stepping into a Red Bull car needs to understand. Sometimes your role goes way beyond crossing the finish line, and far from the spotlight. Stability versus performance. Max Verstappen liked a post criticizing Red Bull's decision. Verstappen's silence is usually deafening. But this time, he broke protocol in a subtle yet powerful way. He liked a social media post that openly criticized Red Bull's decision regarding Lawson and Tsunoda. For those who know how F1 works behind the scenes, that's almost the equivalent of an official statement. Max is the epicenter of the team. If he's showing signs of discomfort, it means something inside is off balance. And the message is loud and clear. Even the team's undisputed leader is questioning the path being taken. This gesture may seem small, but it carries a lot of weight. In an environment where everything is calculated, where every public word and action is carefully managed. A single like speaks louder than 1,000 words. Verstappen may be signaling that instead of reinforcing the team with solid strategic choices, Red Bull is making decisions on the fly. And for a team fighting for championships, that's a flashing red warning light. Here's where the real dilemma begins. Maintain internal stability, or gamble everything chasing short-term performance? That question now hovers over Red Bull, and it's starting to affect even those who once seemed untouchable. If Verstappen himself isn't fully on board, what does that say to the rest of the grid dreaming of a seat with the team? Is Red Bull losing its meticulous DNA and shifting into panic mode? The answer may come in the next few corners, and not just on track. Risk for Tsunoda. Did Tsunoda just put his career on the line by accepting the challenge? Getting into a Red Bull car is never just about speed, it's about survival. By accepting the challenge to replace Lawson, Yuki Tsunoda may have taken the riskiest step of his entire career. The team has a notoriously ruthless track record with drivers who don't deliver results immediately. Just think of names like Kvyat, Gasly, and Albon. They went up, wobbled, and were dropped without mercy. And now, Tsunoda faces a monster, a difficult car, an impatient structure, and the ever-present shadow of Verstappen setting the pace. And more, the Red Bull car isn't built to suit different driving styles. It's practically molded around Max. Anyone trying to tame it has to adapt quickly, or be devoured. No one doubts Tsunoda's talent. But does he have the composure and emotional control to survive in this high-pressure environment? The pressure is insane. And at Red Bull, a mistake doesn't just cost you points. It costs your career. The scariest part? If Tsunoda doesn't deliver right away, he won't fall alone. This decision also exposes the instability of the team and the rush with which they rotate their pieces. And let's be honest, we all know he wasn't picked to win. He was chosen to fill that brutal second driver role and plug a massive gap until the F1 chessboard shifts once again. What seemed like a dream could turn into a nightmare before the season even takes off. Even with Helmut Marko publicly saying Tsunoda is guaranteed to stay at Red Bull until the end of 2025, the real question is, in Helmut Marko's calendar, what exactly is the end of 2025? A golden opportunity. Despite the risks, this could be Tsunoda's big chance to prove his worth in a top team. Despite the high risk, this might be the breakthrough Tsunoda has been waiting for. After years of being labeled the promising guy from AlphaTauri, he finally has the chance to prove he can go beyond the midfield. And the timing couldn't be more symbolic. The season is already underway, 2 races have passed, and the next one takes place in his home country, Japan. You couldn't write a more perfect script. It's now or never. Racing in front of his home crowd at Suzuka, one of the most technical and demanding circuits on the calendar, Tsunoda will have the perfect stage to show he belongs among the elite. It won't be easy, the pressure is massive, the car is still unstable, and he knows Red Bull doesn't forgive mistakes. But if he delivers a solid performance there, with confidence and consistency, the impact in the paddock could be immediate. The bottom line is, Tsunoda can't just be promising anymore. He has to perform. He needs to show he can offer more than Perez or Lawson, not just one-off results, but the right mix of consistency and aggression. Because at Red Bull, there is no comfort zone. Every corner is a high-stakes challenge. And this might be his last chance to stop being a supporting act and become a true protagonist in an increasingly competitive grid. But here's the question. Can he handle the pressure? Would you bet your chips on the Japanese driver? A strong run of races could put him in the conversation with the top names, even as a strategic piece in the new F1 chessboard that's starting to take shape. He may be underestimated by many, but he has the tools to surprise. This race in Japan could mark the beginning of a new era in his career. So, did Tsunoda make the right choice, or fall into Red Bull's perfect trap? In a world where every race can redefine careers, the Japanese driver finds himself at the center of a storm, one fueled by ambition, pressure, and questionable decisions. But it's also in moments like these that Formula One giants are born. What he does over the next few laps won't just shape his own future, it could shift the entire dynamic inside the team. Now I want to hear from you. Does Tsunoda have what it takes to shine under pressure? Did Red Bull make the right call by choosing him over Lawson? And if he doesn't deliver, who's next in line? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to hear your take. And of course, if you love these deep dives into the behind the scenes of F1, make sure to subscribe to Race Suit, hit the bell, and join the grid with us. Because here, the race never stops.